Yo, it's your boy Uncle Cooley. Welcome back to the Toast Up Podcast, man. If you don't know what that means to open a sincere transformation upon people, man. I'm with a special guest, as always, on the show. This is the first guest that flew from to the city of Philly, Bird Gang, man. I want you guys to give a welcome to a podcaster, a featured streamer, and just a content creator and the hustler, man. Everybody give a round of applause to my homeboy Trey, man.
Listen, I appreciate it. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you for having me. Super blessed and highly favored to be here. I appreciate the hospitality too.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure, bro. Man, so listen, I haven't seen Trey in person and I want to say like 13, 14 years. It's been a minute. Since freshman year of high school.
Yeah, of high school.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective.
I know.
High school.
And that was back when my freshman year of high school is, I want to say 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? It was 2010, 2011. It was a long time ago.
That sounds about right. We're old. It's safe to say that we're old.
Yes, sir, man. So I'm glad to see you, man. Thank you for coming. And I'm looking forward to talking to you and you blessing the podcast for sure, bro.
Likewise, again, appreciate you having me. Thank y'all for tuning in as well. If y'all haven't, make sure y'all subscribe to Toast to Achievements podcast.
I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
So listen, I know that I gave an introduction, but I know that you have so much more. So I want you to, tell the audience something about yourself and how they can resonate you, the viewers and listeners, man, for sure.
Yeah. Once again, what's up, y'all? It's Trey Matthews, first and foremost, man of God, world traveler, content creator. I also have a podcast on my own, the Trey Matthews podcast, starting to get into Twitch as well. And yeah, man, I'm just a cool guy. I just like play and fly stuff, man. That's really it about me. I appreciate the introduction. You kind of did it justice. So, that's pretty much it.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah. So I know that you travel a lot. I wanted to talk about some of and the biggest impact that how that inspired you and motivated you to shift your perspective. I know that we have a huge transition from our early 20s to our late 20s. So I wanted to hear how aging and how traveling have kind of shifted your perspective and gave you a bigger picture of life.
Yeah, definitely. For one, I would say it's a blessing, right? I don't take for granted any day, any minute, any second. So I'm just very appreciative of just kind of being in the moment, right? For a lot of people, they don't even think about, the ability to just wake up and check their phone and just go about their day. Like the first thing we should be doing is waking up and thanking God. So I think a lot of times, especially now in the social media day and age, we need to be more present in the moment and appreciative of the people that we have around us and the loved ones. So I would say that's for one. For two, traveling has, given me so much perspective, right? A lot of times we live in this small bubble of, in this instance, Philadelphia, or back where I'm from in the A, you know what I mean? And that's all we think about. But the world is so much bigger than the hometowns or where we come from, and even bigger than the United States, right? I feel like there's just so much ambiguity in the world and people don't even understand that, right? One instance is Japan. We talked about that earlier before we started recording, of just the culture shock of when I went, right? Everybody was so nice. Everybody was welcoming. And yeah, I feel like a lot of times people have the stigmas of, hey, make sure, when you go to Japan, be very careful because, there's racism and this, and this. Or when you go to Dubai, be careful because I heard they're strict. And it's not necessarily those things aren't true, but it's just like, I feel like a lot of times people try to instill their fears onto us. And so it makes us hesitant to go explore and go sightsee and things like that. But it's just like, I mean, pretty much anywhere you go can be strict, right? I mean, here in Philadelphia, it can be strict if you're acting a fool. So it's just like you gotta move with purpose and just understand that, like, again, there's a bigger world than just the United States, and go explore it. Don't let anybody, deter you from not going to see somewhere or see, whatever destination you're going to just because of what their thoughts are, and they haven't even been.
Right. So it seems like you're very strong minded for you to have like your own and be your own individual.
Absolutely.
How did you actually cultivate the mindset that you have now? Like a lot of people don't really have the confidence and the willingness to be their own person because of how social media is and being a strong influence on them. What are some of the steps that you have taken in your life whereas like, yo, I need to be my own, like maybe that's like reading books or spending time with yourself, enjoying your solitude, getting closer to God, all those things.
I think for one is being open minded. I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of time we're very closed off and we don't even notice it. So just having an open mind and just being willing to learn. You know what I mean? You can learn something from a baby if you're around a baby long enough. And it's just like when you go in with that mindset of having an open mind, whether it's people, relationships, your relationship with God, you traveling, you have an open mind that's going to take you a very long way. So I think that's super important. I would also say is what you digest, right? A lot of times, um, you know, we might digest secular music or we may not watch the best TV shows or, again, we go on social media and wake up. The first thing we see is a baddie. Then we scroll. The second thing we see is somebody dying. Then we scroll. The third thing that we see is a plane crash. So it's like in that first minute or two of waking up, we've already experienced 4 or 5 different emotions and we don't even know it. And so I think it's very important to understand what we're digesting each and every day, whether it's on our phone, whether it's what we watch, whether it's what we listen to, because those things are important and it is that deep. That's another thing we talked about off mic is, times where people say, oh, it's not that deep. You know what I mean? We're just vibing or it's not that deep. We just hear like, no, when you're in your late 20s, when you're growing and evolving, like those things are that deep and that important. The people that you hang around, the company that you keep, the things that are around you, all of that is super important. So
Okay. And I'm glad that you're being very transparent. So let's paint a picture for the listeners and the viewers and things of that nature. Can you give us a story whereas you felt like you had to be open minded? Is something that you would have never done years ago, or something recent, or something that challenged you to cultivate and maybe you had to grow
mm,
a little bit on uncomfortability?
mm, that's a great question.
Yes, sir.
Um, I'll be transparent. A 2 jobs ago, when I was working at Apple, um, it wasn't that I wasn't open minded, but I think I was a little bit nervous or just had this eerie feeling of, what if I leave? Right. If I left this company, right, do I go to a company that's a better, even better company than Apple? Do I go into a better financial situation? Do I meet more people? Like, I don't know what the future entails for me. So for a long time, even though that employer was a great company, right, great benefits, great people, things like that, I think a lot of times I had several job opportunities in that 5 year span. So I declined some of them because of the fear of, okay, what if I go and I don't like it, or what if I go and I get laid off? And it's like, again, that goes back to, you can't live life in fear, man. You have to take risk. You have to take responsibility of, okay, if even if it doesn't work out, I'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get through it together. And so I think the main thing for me was when I left Apple and went into my current industry, the aviation industry, is just like, okay, there's things that I enjoy about it and there's things that I dislike about it. But again, if I would have never left that company and never had this experience and having this conversation with you right now, I would have just been living in what if. It would have been the fear of missing out. What if I never would have went into aviation? I would have never went to Italy. I would have never got to experience Japan. I would have never got to experience this culture. I would have never got to meet these people. And so I think it's super important in that lesson for me was just like, you got to take risk in life, good or bad. You're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay because we all are human at the end of the day, and we're all gonna make mistakes. The biggest thing is growing and learning from those mistakes.
100%.
Hmm.
And I like how you have now a fearless mindset.
Hmm.
Like for an example, like I just came from Rio back in January, and one of the biggest goals that I have for myself is learning how to swim. Now, when people be like, "You don't know how to swim," like if you push me in the pool and it's like 10 feet deep, I'm not gonna die right away. Like you give me like 3 or 4 minutes, like I can doggy paddle my way to the wall to get out the pool or whatever the case may
You're
be.
gonna tread water,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but I don't know how to tread water without being exhausted.
Mm,
So I don't know how to swim. You know what I mean? So one of the things that I did was when we were on a sailboat, I ended up jumping in the ocean. Like I had the confidence that number one, I know they're not gonna let me die here.
mm.
Like I'm dying like an American dying in the Brazil.
I mean, it could
It
happen.
can't happen.
It could
But I
happen.
was like, this is an excursion. Like I really, I'm traveling. I'm on a boat with others. And I'm confident that my girlfriend isn't gonna let anything happen to me. But I had, the fearlessness to jump in there, and I just swam, back to the boat. But at the same time, I wanted to say like I don't live in fear.
Mm-hmm. That's being brave.
That's being brave. And like even like earlier today, bro, I told you like I have anxiety about heights.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get on the plane, I can get in the helicopter, anything that's closed in and it's high up, I'll be fine. But it's like when it's open
Mm-hmm.
and when it has like just open and being on a balcony and things of that nature, I'd have this anxiety. But I'm like, yo, we still gonna go on this roof because I want to show you and I want to tackle this fear.
Exactly.
So those are the things that a lot of people need to do with being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that mindset and you having that now, what are you going to do with it in the future and how can you impact others and really live the life that you want?
I think it's just, kind of being inspirational. And I'm not saying that to just try to flex or anything like that, but I'll tell you a perfect story. I was in Dubai for my birthday, as you know. And one of the things that we did, me and my homie, we went to, I don't want to call it a zoo, but it was kind of like a zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to pet lions, tigers, bears, you name it, all the exotic animals. And so when you hear me say that, or, everybody's like, oh, you're crazy. Or what if you get bitten? What if you lose an arm, this, that, and the third? And it's like, again, that goes back to you can't live your life in fear. And so, going into it, my heart was racing. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, what am I doing? I already signed a waiver. If I get my arm eaten, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming back to the US with one arm. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm with all these beautiful people, all these other people doing it. They petting the tiger, they petting the lion, they petting the cheetah. Not one person got bit. I'm not gonna get bit.
Right.
And so again, my heart was racing when I got behind that tiger, start petting it and all that stuff, and it was just like everything was fine. And so again, that goes back to, like you said, like just kind of being brave and being strong. And I just want that to be an inspiration for a lot of people. It doesn't have to be on that level, but it can be something as simple as the normality of just your everyday life, right? If you hate your job, right? Or if you hate that you're not feeling inspired, change it. You can do something about it, right? You can do something about it. But every day that we choose to not do something about it, then I mean, you're gonna live in poverty in terms of like a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a scripture in the Bible. I think it's Proverbs. It talks about actually, I'm gonna pull it up for you because I don't want to misquote, but
yeah. I
I'll
know
pull it in a
exactly
second.
what you mean. And while you pulling it up, like the fear of the unknown stops a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading the scripture in the Bible. It says laziness leads to poverty.
That's what I was about to pull up.
Yeah. Like in all aspects, people be like, well, like that just means money. No, like if you're not taking your health seriously, you're gonna have poor health issues. If you're not nurturing your relationship in your life, you may not have the best love and emotional support. If you're not really working as hard as you can to be the best version of yourself in the job, you may not make the most money or be where you want to be financially. So it all comes with hard work and working on yourself. You know what I mean? I really think that's important in life. And for you to be like, yo, man, like I really take power in my own narrative, not allowing where I come from to dictate where I'm going, not allowing the past things and the past experience that happened in my life to dictate how I'm going to be and how I want to live my life. So, I mean, for you to just, like I said before, like control your own life. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people want to use, I like to say they have excuse-itis.
Oh, that's a bar.
Yeah, they want to have
That's a bar.
excuse-itis, every time, oh, it is and that. Like, no. Like, no, don't give yourself a negative reason.
Mm-hmm.
You have if you're healthy, if you can think for yourself, you just got to go tackle it. Forget the time frame.
$100 grand. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So,
real
okay.
quick. I got the scripture right here.
Yes, sir.
Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. That's deep. So that's just going back to what me and you were just saying a moment ago. Yeah. Again, like I told you this year, I'm feeling more inspired than ever. But if you don't make a change, right? If you want to become this big podcaster, or if you want to become this big streamer, or if you're in the musician world and want to become the greatest singer ever, but you're not working towards it, then there's not going to be anything that's going to give back to you.
Mm-hmm.
The universe will not give back to you in that sense. And so, again, at that point, that's just insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
100%. So what does this next chapter look like for you? Like, I know that you spoke on so much off the podcast. I know that you are, you gave a little bit of the audience something about yourself, but what does this next chapter in your life look for you?
I think for one is being intentional, right? For a long time, I feel like in my 20s, I've been trying to figure it out. And so the more mature and older that I've gotten, I've realized like, okay, I need to be more intentional with my relationships, where I'm putting my energy towards, what am I working on, and what's next. And so this is something I wanted to talk to you also about is, I got into the habit of journaling. And something as simple as that sounds, right? I always start with what I'm thankful for, the small wins, what I'm working towards, and what's next. So I could be more intentional with what I'm working toward. Because it's easy to have all these thoughts and ideas and illustrations of, okay, I want to do this, this, and this week. But again, by the time you go to the gym, by the time you take a phone call, by the time you go grab your coffee, you already forgot 2 of those ideas. And so when I say being intentional, writing down what you want, embracing it, and working towards it. So for me, like I told you, I want to work towards, being more active on Twitch. I want to be more active on, doing my podcast, because for at least a year now, I haven't done an episode. And I do believe there's value in silence. However, the presentation and visualization of how you come back is very important, because people are going to be wanting to hear and wanting to see what Trey has going on, or for this example, what Toast to Achievement has going on. So I think it's very important to kind of just be intentional with your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And I love that you say that, bro, because like you said, silence can be golden, but sometimes you definitely need to take initiative on what you really want in life and things of that nature. So with everything going on, you just exposed the next chapter in your life having pure intentions, right? Yeah. What are some of the lessons that gave you that mindset in the past? Like, what is the motivation? And you don't got to get too personal. And also I want to ask you, do you write when you journal, or do you write on your phone?
I'm the type of individual that likes to write down stuff. Okay. I feel like books have energy. So whether it is a journal or whether it's a book that you're reading, I like having the physical hard copy of what I'm looking at.
100%.
And it just feels better, right? I like that old traditional fashion of just, let's take it back to the high school, middle school days where I'm writing again. Yeah. Because these things are lost art. People don't even read books like that no more.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people don't read at all. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who don't read.
It's a lost art.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the average, I read something recently that said the average person here reads on a 5th grade level. That's super disappointing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where did we fail in the curriculum? Where? That's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah.
And so, what was the first part of the question?
So the first part of the question is, right, what are some of the lessons that kind of shape your mindset that you have now? Because I know you said you want to move it with intentions. That's what the next chapter in your life looks like. But it has to have some of experiences in the past. So you don't have to get too personal, but like I said, on Toast to Achievements, we love to have stories that people can relate to and learn from.
Yeah, I think for one, it's making mistakes. We're all human, so we're by default we're gonna make mistakes. We're not perfect, so it's how you grow and how you elevate from those mistakes. I could speak to 1,000 different mistakes I've made. You know what I mean? From living situations to business decisions that probably weren't the best at the time. Just kind of learning to optimize and enhance those experiences. And so for me, I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm not trying to say that to like age myself out, but at some point you do have to mature from those experiences, because again, if we live in that same absent-minded state, you're not going to grow. And I know that really sounds surface level, but I mean, yeah, I think just making mistakes along the way, just learning and growing from those opportunities. Let me think on that, but I would say that's probably like the most straightforward answer I have for that.
I love, bro, because one thing I've learned with me is I move too fast. I move too fast because I think like I'm learning to slow down, because I think, yo, like I got this great idea, or like I need to be here in this position. I'm hurting myself along the way. You know what I mean? Like for an example, like a great example for me is like, all right, I want to be able to squat 315. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight. And if I go to the gym and just continue to put as much weight as possible and try to squat 1 or 2 reps, yeah, I may get stronger, but on the way, my knees,
Hmm.
my body's gonna fall apart because
Hmm.
I'm not training my body the correct and the best way to recover. Even though in my head, I'm like, all right, dang, like, all right, I squatted 225 this week. I squat 230 next week. The following week, I'm squatting 240, but then all of a sudden, then my knees just give out on me
Mm.
when I get to 250 because I'm moving too fast. And that's the biggest thing I can tell my story is that sometimes, like, you have to be patient and you have to allow your plant to grow. Well, let me rephrase. You have to allow the seed to grow to a plant.
Right.
You know what I mean? Due to the fact that you just have to move with patience and have faith in God that everything is going to work out. And sometimes, to be very transparent, sometimes I try to control my own narrative and destiny to myself and not give anyone the control of my own narrative, but put in trust in God and continue to pray and things of that nature kind of really help me out. Like having faith.
Right. I was gonna add to that too. That's great, by the way.
Yeah,
That's that's
appreciate you.
that's that's phenomenal. Um, I told you the story off air about how yesterday, I was driving my mom up to some shopping store that she wanted to go to or whatever. We just having mom and son time, right?
Right.
And so we get to the parking lot. It's like a 3 or 4 way stop, and it was my time to go, right? And so I'm pushing on the gas pedal. The lady drops right past me, doesn't stop at the stop sign. I'm just like, I just throw my hands up. I'm just like, all right, we just ignore stop signs today, apparently, right? And she shoots me the bird. And so I'm just like, wow. And so in that moment, I realized like old Trey would have probably maybe turned around and like, I'm not saying I have road rage, but I probably would have turned around and addressed like, yo, you gonna shoot me the bird when you in the
Mhm.
wrong, da 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 da. And so I think another part of your question is thinking logically instead of all the time with emotion. I think that's super important because when you think emotionally, that can get you in a lot of tricky situations and difficult situations. Because emotionally in that moment, I was disappointed in that individual. Like you shot me the bird and you in the wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But at the same time, the logic point of it is, you know what? I'm safe. My mother is safe. We made it to the shopping department safe. You know what I'm saying? God bless her. She might be going through something personally. She might be having the worst day in the world for all I know. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna give her grace and understand that. And so I think that's another thing is understanding like to give the world and people grace. Because everything's just not gonna go our way each and every day. That's not how life works.
Right. And I agree, man, because the thing about life is it's so unpredictable at times. And you can give yourself so much time to really make great decisions. I read in a book that if you just spend 3 to 5 seconds making each decision on a road, you can save someone else's life, including yours.
Mm.
And when you go back and reflect on what you would have done in the past, shows a lot about your character. Like for an example, like you just told me 3 days ago, you cut your hair. Like
Yep.
you've
Yep.
been growing your hair for like what, 7 years, bro?
It was like at least 5 years.
Bro, that's a long time.
Long time.
Like I'm pretty confident, like you have so much attachment to your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You ever
that
heard the
was like,
saying?
yeah,
You ever? I think it's in the Caribbeans. My hair is my strength. You ever heard
yeah,
that
yeah,
saying?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So it was like, dang, like this dude 3 days ago, like you had hair, long
Mhm.
hair. You know what I mean? And for you to make that decision, it's like, yo, like this is truly a new journey chapter, and sometimes you gotta get rid of the old you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super excited for your future, brother. Like I've been telling you off and I'm telling you on. Like the fact that you were able to be like, you know what, I would have done this
Mhm.
probably 2 years ago, but I'm with my mom. And not only with my mom, I've grown. I'm the same person, but I've grown to make mature decisions.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, right, I want to talk a little bit more about risk.
Mm.
What are some of the risks that you have taken in your life that you felt like if I can do it again, I would do it this way?
This might be super controversial. I would say college. I think I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
college is part of one of those social constructs in our society that's like we were taught from a child. right? It's just like the way to a better life is to, you know, get A's and B's, go to college. That's the way to get a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? The white picket fence, have children, and, you know, die, work to die. And it's just like, if you're not going to school to be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, uh, you know, there's a lot of other genre of jobs out there that require school.
Mhm.
So those are super important. But I feel like for marketing or for business, um, we can get taught that nowadays on YouTube University. But the way technology and AI and all that stuff is advancing so rapidly, we didn't see this a decade ago. You know what I mean? So 10 years ago, I couldn't have predicted that we would have AI. You could just ask ChatGPT a question or ask it to write your entire, you know, essay on the price of tea in China. You know what I'm saying? And it'll give you a whole description, and you can ask it to make it more human. Like, those things are insane. And so for me, I think it probably would have been more beneficial if I may have just went straight into the workforce, or just kind of just try to figure out what my real passion points are at that time. But I do understand also, when you're 18, you're very still pressurable, and like, you're still trying to figure out yourself. You don't even really know who you are yet.
Mhm.
Um, but, you know, college is beneficial in some cases, but also in some cases too, they're scams.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people are $100,000 in debt for an art degree.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's a little egregious.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I'm glad that you say that, because I read in the book when I was 19 is that formal education can make you a living,
Mm,
but self-education can make you rich
bingo.
or bring endless wealth.
Mm.
Because a lot of people don't even pick up a book after they graduate. You know, I know people that are in their 40s and 50s then haven't read a book since they graduated college or high school. And your brain is a muscle.
Hmm.
Read. Read whatever you can put your hands on, man, due to the fact that it's exercise and you're growing. You know what I mean? And it paints pictures. Like, the people see pictures. Like, for an example, you don't see the words that's coming out of my mouth and you form into the brain. Like, you're not reading but you paint pictures where people can show. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like a lot of people don't understand that self-education can make you a fortune in life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think the unfortunate part too, this is where it's two-sided, because on one hand, it is beneficial for us to have a bachelor's degree,
For sure.
because we're able to get into certain rooms, to get into certain job opportunities. But at the same time, depending on what corporation you're going to, they may say a bachelor's isn't enough. We now need a master's. We now need a PhD if you want this job, and the base pay of it still may not even be all that. And
100%.
so again, you're going to school for all these years just to get this okay base salary that may not even be sustainable in a couple years. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Y'all are seeing actively how inflation is going. People are talking about eggs right now. That's the trendy thing right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
How expensive eggs are. Gas prices in certain states. You know what I mean? There's certain, you know, things that are just increasing. And so I think that's one of the risks that maybe I could have probably done differently.
Mhm.
Um what about you? What would you say for you?
One thing that I wish I would have done at my earlier age is have money working for me
Mhm.
at an earlier
That's a good one
age.
too.
Due to the fact that compound interest is one of the most powerful things on earth. All the student loan debt that people aren't paying, all the credit card debt that people aren't paying, are just continue to compound and compound and compound. And if I would have had some investments that would continue to compound and compound and compound, I would be a lot more in a much better situation. Now, Grant, I was very grateful that I really took the initiative to learn about investing at 22, 23. And in Philly, like, they really don't teach us these things. You know what I mean? Like a Roth IRA.
I'll take it a step further. In our
Yeah.
community, it's taboo.
Yeah,
You know what
bro.
I'm saying? Like, and it may sound cliche because people have heard that for a long time, but seriously, there's a lot of families that haven't been taught financial literacy and how important it is to invest in stocks and now cryptocurrency. And like you said, having your money work for you, that is super beneficial.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so you know, we could take it back to, again, the curriculum in high school. We're learning about slope intercept form when we should be learning about, you know, paying off a mortgage or financing a car. Like those,
Mhm.
I feel like those resources are way more important than slope intercept, unless you're going to be actively using that in
Exactly.
your job field.
Yeah, and it's just like, bro, we don't even know, like, we got to learn how to do our taxes. Like everybody, and if you're an American, you have to learn how to do your taxes,
Mhm.
or somebody's gonna do them for you.
And if you
You can
get,
go to jail.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you get it wrong, you'll go to jail.
Exactly.
That's insane.
That's vital. So it's just certain things like that kind of like, okay, like if I can teach this to a younger generation or anybody that's younger than me, like I want people to be empowered.
Mhm.
Like for an example, like I truly believe that, a lot of people don't make it to see you know, Atlantic City or Miami or Los Angeles. A lot of people are very comfortable just being in their own section in Philly or their own section of Decatur, Georgia. You know what I mean? It's a whole world out there. Like you said, they live completely different in Japan.
Mhm.
They live completely different in Rio de Janeiro. You know what I mean? In
Mhm.
Greece. So it's like, why not take the initiative to learn and want more for yourself?
Mhm.
Be comfortable being uncomfortable because that's gonna knock down so many doors for your kids or your friends and your family members. You know what I mean? So that's why I say like to people all the time, like really invest into yourself.
Mhm. And I think more than ever right now we have all the resources, right? We're just choosing not to utilize them. So, I mean, social media can be a bad thing, but it can also be a beneficial
Oh
thing,
man,
just depending on
100%.
how you use it.
On a P.
Um, AI is going to be the start of taking over thousands and probably millions of jobs. But if you're using it to your advantage right now, it could be advantageous to for you later
Yeah,
on down the road.
for sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I don't normally talk like financials on the pod, but I'm gonna say this last thing. I invest in cryptocurrency, and even though it's very volatile, it can make you a lot of money if you're doing it the correct way. You know what I mean? Investing into yourself is one of the best things you can do, whether that's physical, mental, or any or all of the above. Investing into your relationships and life, man, is so important. Like you are investing into your own lane, Trey. Like you about to do something that's big. Like you about to enter a new world of streaming.
Hmm.
You grabbing the equipment, you about to just start doing a podcast again. A lot of people don't have things to fall back on.
Hmm.
A lot of people just work that 9 to 5. And I'm not saying because you have your own, I have my own, we're better. It's just we want you to live in your truth. Don't allow your circumstances to dictate where you want to go and how you can live your life.
Hmm.
Budgeting is a real thing. If you love art, start going to art shows. Start hanging out with people that can influence you to want more for yourself. And we're not talking about material things, but just more life.
100 grand.
More life. You know what I mean? And like you said, traveling can open up your world. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that we touched on this because there's so many things that a lot of people in our community, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
You really don't. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you don't know. So overall, right? We're in 2025. You're seeing big changes in the AI, into society, including fashion, music, and things of that nature. Where do you think this is going to go in 2030? Because our last podcast we spoke about millennials versus Generation Z.
It's tough, man, because I mean, what, we're a couple days away from March. Well, depending on when this podcast releases.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say we're in March now, right? It's felt like we've already lived a whole year in
You know what?
2025.
This year been gone slower than normal
You think
years.
so?
Hell
I think
yeah.
it's just, man, every day it's just, this is why I say it's important on what you digest, because like if you were to look at the mainstream media every day, it's always going to be something depressing. They're always talking about plane crashes. They're
Yeah.
always talking about this. They're talking about inflation. So it's easy to get like controlled by that and just feel like, oh, like, you know what I mean? It's hard.
Mhm.
And so to answer your question, I mean, 5 years from now, I think there's going to be a lot of people without a job. And I know that sounds sad. I know that might be depressing, but I think that's the reality of it, right? We just talked about AI and how it's optimizing a lot of work processes for a lot of different corporations. When you think of Amazon, when you think of Apple, when you think of A lot of these other tech companies, right? I don't want to just name drop, all these companies, but when you think about the direction that they're moving in, robots don't get tired. Humans do. And so the biggest cost for these companies are salaries. And so again, you're seeing it now in real time. People are getting laid off because they're either just cutting that role out completely or they can just replace you with a robot. And so I think we're not really comprehending and understanding this is happening in real time.
Mm,
But people are not going to feel it until it unfortunately happens to them.
hmm
So I think that's one aspect that we're going to see in the next few years. Um, I'm really trying to think of what else that we're about to see.
Yeah, it's so much. I remember back when COVID was at its peak back in 2021, and I was watching a video on YouTube, and it said like when we've reached a point where the internet and digital creation is its all times peak, and AI really a big part and on macro level in our everyday lives.
Hmm.
It's gonna be a point whereas everything that we're doing now is AI can do it. Or like so that's when a lot of people are going to reach a point where need more creative,
Hmm.
more humans are naturally creators. So music, art, like things that human can impact with emotion, social skills,
Just being
um
original.
being original, being just a good person. It's really going to take a toll because now it's like it's reaching to a point like you said, AI can do a lot of customer service, a lot of stuff that, like you said, like is you may lose a job in the next decade or so if you're not really pivoting yourself to really find and discover who you are.
I
You know what I mean?
I agree, and I think on top of that, um, I'm trying to think how to word
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Um, I think on top of that, there may be a point. I don't know if it's going to be in the next 5 years. Let's say in the next 10 years,
Mhm.
um, we might live on some kind of stipend, meaning there's not going to be a such thing as the middle class. There's
Yo,
going to
real,
either be you're going to be
yeah,
extremely wealthy or you're going to be at the bottom
because the debt,
because of debt, but
inflation.
because of just the cost of living, bro.
Yeah,
Like I don't know how it is here in Philly, but I can give you an example of my hometown, right? You look at Gwinnett. I mean, they're building up townhouses, they're building up shopping centers, they're building up all these things. They're taking up every plot of land you can think of. Like if you were to come back to Gwinnett today, it looks nothing like it did when you were there when we were in high school. Completely different. And so the cost of these houses, they'll be cookie cutter. Like they literally put them up in a few months and that'll be 400K. And it's like, okay, that's a nice townhouse, but this same townhouse 10 years ago was like 200,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the price increase in just everything. And don't get me wrong, there's some industries like the car industry, for example. It's a perfect time if you want to go get a car that you really wanted, as far as like an M4 or something like that. They've become affordable, but where they hit you at is the interest rate.
mm-hmm,
So it's like you can buy the car for 30,000, but the interest rate might be 13, 14%,
mm-hmm.
which is insane. And so I say all that to say, like again, that we're everything that we're seeing in real time, it's going to be difficult, man. Because again, it's no telling where the world is going. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if we live on some kind of stipend, fixed income that we get additional from it. Plus, we'll have our take home money that we get from our 9 to 5, but the government may say, okay, here's an extra 1,200 a month, or here's the extra 1,000 a month, just to pay rent or your mortgage to help you out. Because
Yeah,
I think that's where the world is going. There's not
yeah.
going to be a middle class.
Yeah, bro. I think, like you said, it's not gonna be a middle class. It's, like you said, it's gonna be super wealthy people, and people are at the bottom of the food chain. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is a perfect time for people to be financial literate and actually try to position themselves to get out of debt or to try to increase their income or to buy a home or whatever you desire to do to
Mhm.
make to really position yourself so you can have somewhat of a freedom or somewhat financial security.
Right.
So with all that being said, with a lot of changes on the economy, right? This is a general question because I kind of want to switch it up for the audience to kind of relate to us on a personal level. Do you think in your 20s, this is the perfect time to be selfish? And what does that look like if you say yes?
When you say be selfish, are you saying being selfish with your time?
Being selfish with your time, not willing to budge about your non-negotiables, willing to take risks. Like maybe you're dating somebody, but you know you finally get that dream job offer, and you want to take that opportunity to move across the country, or just be willing to take any job that you may not be in your environment or home as much. Doing things that your partner may not be found about, like just being selfish on everything you want in your 20s, because
Hmm. I think it's circumstantial. Because I don't want to say be selfish about everything.
right.
Because then a lot of times you want to be selfless, right? So to be selfish, yes, be selfish with your non-negotiables. Don't budge on that, right? If your non-negotiables are, hey, you need to be loyal to me. I expect X, Y, and Z out of you to be a good friend, whatever it is. That's a non-negotiable, right? Don't let nobody change that. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about it either, because those are your non-negotiables. Um, but there's times where you're gonna have to be selfless. All right, maybe there's instances where you may not want to do something for a parent, or you may not want to do something for your family members, but it's bigger than you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're gonna have to give back, and giving back doesn't always have to equate to giving you a present or give you something tangible, but it can also be in the acts of kindness. And so I think it's very important to differentiate when it's time to be selfish about, your emotions or whatever it is, and be selfless when it comes to giving back and using your time wisely and things like that. Does that answer that?
Yeah, no, it does, because I feel like everybody will react differently.
Mhm.
Some people don't know how to not overextend, or people are just naturally givers. You know what I mean? It's a lot of takers out in the world, and I spoke about that in other episodes.
Mhm.
But at the same time, some people are just not really comfortable doing that, being selfish. And that's something that I had to learn a long time ago. Like, it's nothing wrong with putting yourself first.
Right.
Like, I used to feel so guilty putting myself first, because I felt like I had to be this person that saved everyone. And I never even asked for help. Like, I don't want anyone to save me.
Listen, if you don't put yourself first, you're gonna be very disappointed on how people do you. I'm telling you, because again, another thing that I've learned along this journey, expectations, right? You have all these high expectations for all these people for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're only setting yourself up for failure, because the only thing they can do is disappoint you if they don't, you know what I'm saying? If they don't live up to that standard that you have for them.
100%.
Um, so I think that's very important too, to just understand, like, put yourself first. You know what I'm saying? Put your feelings first. Put your thought, like, that stuff is definitely important.
Yeah.
Be selfish about that. And people, this is open for discussion too. People may feel different listening, but I truly believe life is about happiness, right? And so, when you hear the question sometimes of what does success mean to you, or what do you define success, or what do you see yourself in 5 years, brother, I see myself happy. I see happiness. And so if you're not happy with, with what's going on in your life, if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not happy with what's going on, like, you gotta do some realigning. You gotta do some realigning. So I think, you have to be selfish in some cases in order to achieve happiness.
Mhm. Yeah, no, 100%, because like I was discussing this off the camera with you, and I think 90% of life is how you react to it. 10% on what happens to you. Like, if I interpreted something wrong, if I hold the door for someone, and the individual that walks through the door, and I get upset with them because they didn't say thank you. I feel like that right there is so, like, it's not really going to. It's how I react to it. I can react to it in a way where it's negative, like it can destroy my day, and I can react to it in a positive way, whereas, you know what, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's I feel like that's life. You know what I mean? Having intentions, and whatever you desire in life is what's going to happen if you have that mindset. A positive mindset is going to be so healthy.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because everything revolves around that.
Hmm.
Everything. You know what I mean?
That just brought up another idea. I appreciate this conversation so much, man.
Yeah, bro,
This
for
kind of
sure.
feels like a therapy session in a way. Just kind of being optimistic, right? Because a lot of times we can get in our own way of just being negative, or just thinking about the worst case possible.
Yeah.
You can't move and navigate through life like that, man. You gotta be open. You gotta, you know what I'm saying, expect the best. You gotta aim for, you know what I'm saying, as
Yeah.
far as you can. And so, yeah, man, that was another thing I battled with for a long time. Just negativity and just getting out of my own head.
Mhm.
Overthinking. That's really what it is. Negativity comes from overthinking a lot.
And I brought that up because when you're selfish, or when you can make certain decisions to put yourself first, you may interpret it like, "Damn, I'm a messed up person. Like I should have gave this person some money because they need it, but you need it too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, oh dang, I should have done this, or I should have be doing this, and the whole time you putting yourself at risk.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you interpret certain things.
Right.
That's why I brought that up, because sometimes people can view being selfish as a negative way. And don't get me wrong, of course, like you just said, it definitely depends on the scenario. Like, be a great person. But because if it's gonna impact you in a negative way, and you let that person know, like, yo, man, like this is not gonna put me in the best position, then you can say no.
You're right. And that's okay.
And that's all right. But it's 90, like I can interpret it. And I'm your friend, and you be like, yo, bro, like I can't help you right now because this is like, if I'm like, yo, I'm stranded, right? I'm stranded because I wanted to go to the store at night. And you're like, yo, bro, I gotta go pick my kids up. Or I gotta do this, I gotta pick my girl up, whatever in the case may be. You're gonna have to figure something out. Nobody told you to go out there. Yeah, like if I can help you, I'm going to help you. If I can give you this money, or you know what I mean, I'm going to help you as much as possible. But if it's going to put me in a negative position, and I look at that like, yo, Trey not there for me no more,
Mm-hmm.
I can be like, no, he just can't help me right now.
I think a rebuttal to that also is if they're so gung ho about, oh, Carlos didn't help me because, you know what I'm saying, he got this going on, this going on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not enough. He should have still, you pulled up on me because he's my friend. Like, that's a terrible way of thinking. And that should just let you know, like, y'all relationship is not as deep as you think. Because again, there's gonna be times where, somebody's gonna reach out to you and you can't help them. And it's gotta accept that. You know what I'm saying? People have their own personal struggles, own personal battles, and stuff that they're navigating through too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if they don't understand, that aspect of it, that should just let you know where your friendship or where y'all relationship stands.
Yeah.
Um,
And I 100% agree, because a lot of people are like that. Especially, oh, like this person got this and he not gonna do this, or she got this and she not, like, bro, like,
optics, man.
yeah.
People can go into something with so many assumptions and be so cavalier about their feelings, but they can be totally wrong.
100%.
They can be totally wrong. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen that backfire. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you see this person, this person out on vacation or something like that. And it's just like, oh, you're not going to hit me up or that kind of thing. And it's just like, well, I'll tell you a perfect example. So, and this is to get a little personal, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Toast up.
In my previous relationship, I took my girl, at the time. We went on vacation, right? We went on vacation. We had a wonderful time. You know what I'm saying? We spent about 5-6 days out the country or whatever. And I came back and I lost the friendship. And I'm like, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? I found out that I get unfollowed on Instagram. I found out that, this person blocked me and all this, egregious things. I'm like, what did I do? All I did was take a vacation with somebody that had nothing to do with nobody but my personal life. And it turns out the assumption was, oh, you went on vacation with the homies, or you went on vacation and you didn't let me know. I don't owe you that. I don't owe you that. Now, if we sat here and created a plan of how the next time, I do go out the country, let's both collectively go and let's pay for this, pay for that. We want to do these excursions, completely different conversation. But again, you automatically assuming I went on this vacation and this luxury trip and I excluded you out on purpose and you're thinking I went with all these different people, like that's incorrect.
Yeah, you interpret it completely different.
Completely wrong. But that's a perfect example of how somebody can just be so cavalier and so just in their feelings about something and be one mind or closed minded about something. They're not even seeing the bigger picture of, nah, Trey just went on vacation with his girl.
Or you get to, like,
Or he went on vacation by himself.
Even if you my friend, you could have just came with me with transparency.
Yeah.
Like, yo, bro, like I hope all is well, man. I wanted to, have a brief conversation. I wanted to start traveling. Like you can be accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't owe nobody.
And I think
You know what I'm saying?
to add to that too is like having those uncomfortable conversations.
Yo, for sure.
You know,
Dialogue.
because you know there's so many times where individuals try to avoid conflict, and you know, confrontation is not always necessarily bad. I feel like friendships are the ones that are for real. Those are truly made with the uncomfortable conversations, the hard times of y'all relationship. Because of course, everything for the most part is gonna be peaches and cream. Y'all hang out, y'all have a good time, y'all go here, y'all go there. But also, I should be able to give you feedback and reality checks of, hey, this is how you look, and you know what I mean. Like you should be able to confront. I don't even want to say confront because that has a negative connotation to it too. But you should be able to have brutally honest
For
conversations with
sure.
people that you love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And regardless of how you feel about it, you know what I mean? Like if it's articulated correctly, it's only to help you be a better you. It's not to tear you down and make you this, excuse my language, this shitty person.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not made
Yeah.
to do that. And so I think having uncomfortable conversations is super important, man. One of the biggest things in one of my old jobs, we talked about giving feedback. We called it fearless feedback. And so, you know, starting with leading with love, but also saying like, hey, this is what you can do better, or this is what you could do differently.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But that goes again, talking about growth and development as an individual, being a better person.
Mhm.
And so,
And being comfortable with who you are.
absolutely.
Like, all because I'm coming and I'm trying to help you in the best way. Like, people are helping you because they want the best for you,
Mhm.
or they want the best for the team. It's not all about you. You know what I mean? So that's why I said, like, really, it goes back to the beginning of this conversation in this episode. Yo, bro, like, I gotta put myself in uncomfortable situations to be comfortable,
Mhm.
because you have to be so immersed in it that you feel like, yo, like, this is going to help me, even though I feel like, really, you may experience anxiety, or you may live in fear. It's all about the unknown that you don't know. You fear the
Yeah.
unknown that's making you stop, and it's all up here. It's mental.
Mhm.
It's all mental. That's why it's very important, like you said, to journal.
Right.
It's very important to do critical thinking, or even have loved ones that can provide that emotional support. Because, yo, if I can come to you, be like, yo, Trey, like, yo, I ain't really like how you articulate that, to me, and I feel like you could have did it in a better way, or we could have handled this in a much better manner.
Mhm.
And you look at it like, this nigga on some shit.
Yeah. Like why you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Why you
no,
coming at me?
yeah. I'm
You know what I'm
coming.
saying?
I'm coming towards you in a healthy way because I love you and I want the best for us. Like, why would you want to be around somebody that you can't even trust to have transparent and honest dialogue?
Or doesn't hold you accountable.
Or doesn't hold you accountable. Like, if you
Yeah.
want this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot of people in my life, like, they want so many things in life. They want it, but do you really want it? Or are you wishing for it?
Mm.
If I hold you accountable, are you going to get upset? You say you wanted this. That's what you said to me. And if I want the best for you, maybe I'm not going to hold you to accountable in a disrespectful way. But I don't want to hear it no more. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. Like, don't keep coming to me saying, like, you complaining about your circumstances if you're not trying to take the initiative to change it.
I think to add to that too, sometimes people are for seasons. We talked about this earlier today too when you picked me up from the airport. Like, um, you know, just like the seasons go, fall, winter, spring, summer, people are there seasonal sometimes too, and that's okay. This person may have been my best friend for this point in my life, you know what I'm saying, 10 years ago, but you know, people evolve, people grow, people go on different paths, and that's okay. It don't mean it doesn't mean I don't have love for them anymore. I can love somebody from a distance, but they got their own journey that they're going through. You know what I'm saying? And if it's meant to be, we'll come back together 10, 15 years down the road and you know, rekindle that friendship or a relationship that we had. And so I think a lot of times people don't understand that and it's hard for them to let go. And I get it. I understand it. It's not easy, you know, letting go of somebody you deem your best friend or, you know, one of your closest friends if y'all been friends forever in a day. And then all of a sudden y'all go y'all separate ways. Like, that's okay.
Mhm.
You still can pray for that person. You still can, you know what I'm saying, wish the best for that person. Just because we're not eating at the same table doesn't mean I don't want to see you eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course. I want you to continue to strive for greatness. I want you to continue to provide for yourself and for your loved ones. You know what I'm saying? I could do that from a distance, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's maturity. Because as we age, a lot of people are gonna, really focus on themselves and their family.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I think, like you said in the middle of this episode, moving with intentions. Like, yo, if I really want to be there for you, I'll make the intentions too. But I am also focused on myself.
Mhm.
I want it more for myself as well, and that's why I said it's very important, and it's a way of putting yourself first sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like, yeah, don't leave your family high and dry or your friends high and dry, but if it's gonna benefit you and only you, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to miss out on certain things, and having memories with your family if you really want to grind for something.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I've missed out on, family gatherings, a cookout, a homie's birthday, whatever it is, because I got obligations, what I'm saying, that were already pre-made.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
and
And
that's
again,
yeah,
10
pre-made
times
is important.
and
Yeah,
10 times out of 10, those people that I'm talking about that I missed out on, we still talk to each other to this day because there's the understanding of, okay, Trey didn't make it to this one, but he made it to the last 5.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or Trey didn't
Mhm.
make it to this cookout, but guarantee we're gonna see him on Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying?
So listen, man. Like you said, everything is coming full circle, man. You putting God first as always. You making sure that you moving with intentions and you're nurturing your relationships, man. Is now with the new streaming stuff, with the new are you still vlogging or are you just gonna focus on streaming and podcasting?
Yes, I'm still vlogging as well. There's actually a lot of content I have loaded up in my computer that I need to go through, decipher,
Yeah.
and edit.
Yeah.
It's holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I have
bro,
no.
the editing part, bro, that shit takes some time.
It's
don't it?
tedious. It's tedious.
That's what it is, tedious. Better word.
But I'm holding myself accountable. You know what I mean? I have no excuse that it's not uploaded already.
Yeah.
Just gotta take the time out to do it. And honestly, truth in the matter, I'll probably do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go through that. Go through that tomorrow. So.
Yeah. All right, man. So is there anything you want to share on this last episode or last time frame of the episode?
For one, I want to say appreciate it, man. Like,
Yeah.
for real, I express nothing but my sentiments to you, man. I appreciate you. Everything from the hospitality to having this conversation to talking to y'all as well. It's been a while since I've actively been on camera, actively, kind of just been in a,
Getting
back in this space.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's super humbling. It's super therapeutic. And I'm appreciative of everything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate y'all.
So this is this toast up segment, brother. You can pour your water in whatever you got.
Good agua.
So yes, sir, ski. Hey, man. Toast to you, Trey, to more life for yourself, man, and moving with accountability, moving with intentions. I know we spoke off the podcast. You gave a brief introduction about yourself and what you got going on. Man, I'm so proud of you, brother. I feel as though with you being so comfortable with change, mentally, physically, and wanting more for yourself, including financially, man. I hope and I pray to God that you get everything you desire in life. And I don't care who says it, man. I really appreciate you. Keep moving with intentions. Keep putting out great content. We look forward to seeing that, man. And man, I really appreciate you. For you to be the first guest that flew from Atlanta to Philly, and really just want to do the podcast, man. It says a lot about how you view this platform, and it says a lot about how you value our friendship, man. So listen, I'm very ecstatic for your successes. And even with the road change, you got me to be there for you as much as possible, man. Toast to your achievements, brother.
Toast up. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Real rap, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, Sirski. No stuff. Yeah, man. I'm like excited. And that, bro, I'm very excited for you.
You gonna make me cry here, boy.